I'm in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan. It's a country wedged in between Iran, Russia and the Caspian Sea. Geographically, it is located on the edge of Europe, but culturally it is somewhere on its own. And it is rich. Over 90% of its export money comes from two things: gas and oil. Azerbaijan made more than $20 billion selling oil and gas last year. Some of that money is clearly visible in its capital. The flame towers change color at night. The promenade goes on for kilometers. It feels less like a city and more like a statement. But Azerbaijan also sits at the bottom of the world's corruption ranking. The average person here earns around $640. And now here's the question I came to Azerbaijan with. How can that be that there is $20 billion on one side and $640 per month on the other side? Where does all the rest of the money go? And does any of it reach Azerbaijani people? So in today's video, there are three things that I want to do. I want to walk around Baku, Azerbaijan's capital, and show you what all this wealth actually built. But then I also want to leave Baku to learn more about life outside of the capital. And along the way, I want to do the simplest thing, which is stop people and just ask them about life here in Azerbaijan. However, it sounds simple. I don't think it will be that simple, because I believe that people here cannot freely speak about their politics and state their opinion about it. Within the old town walls of Baku, you can find its historical center, where you can find a lot of restaurants which still make traditional bread the way they did it hundreds of years ago. And you can also find a lot of souvenir shops with lots of souvenirs that remember the Soviet Union times of Azerbaijan. The walls of Baku are about 900 years old. It is a very historical place, but even from inside of these walls, you can see a huge contrast. For example, if I turn around here, you can see on this side still the walls, the old ancient walls of Baku, and then on the other side, two of the flame towers, which are super modern skyscrapers that change their lights at night. It is a contrast that actually writes the story of Azerbaijan. Baku has been an oil city for over a century. The first commercial oil wells in the world were drilled near here. The grand old mansions in the city center were built by oil barons more than 100 years ago. And then the modern boom came, and the money built something new on top of it. Behind me there are the three flame towers. It's kind of the symbol for modern Azerbaijan. They are covered in screens, and these screens lit up every single night. It's genuinely impressive and beautiful, but an impressive architecture and a fair country aren't generally the same. So I was wondering who actually is benefiting from all this money flowing into the country. And when I started reading about it, I found something that I definitely wasn't expecting. The answer didn't lead to Baku. The answer led to London. In 2021, a leak of documents called the Pandora Papers showed that the family of Azerbaijan's president and people close to him had quietly bought property in London worth close than $700 million. The deals were hidden behind 84 offshore companies. One block of buildings in Mayfair was put in the name of the president's son when he was 11 years old. But again, we are talking about a country where the average salary is roughly $640 per month. So that and the Pandora paper story doesn't really sound like Azerbaijani people are the ones benefiting from the oil boom. Alright, I'm getting ready to stop people and ask them some questions about local life in Azerbaijan. But before I actually do that, I want to talk about something that is actually super important to me, because it makes trips like this one possible. For me, when I land at a new destination, I definitely need to be online immediately, because I need to use Google Maps, I need a translator, and I just don't want to rely on unsecured Wi-Fi. Since more than 2 years, I actually use Olafly. Olafly is an eSIM provider that provides mobile data in more than 200 destinations. You get one eSIM, you install it within less than 2 minutes only, and then you can use unlimited data in your destination. No SIM card hunting at the airport. You will be connected immediately. You won't need to do any eSIM swapping. You have a reliable internet connection throughout your entire trip from the moment you land. What I currently use is their regional plan because I am planning to travel to several countries here in the region, and Olafly offers 15 regional plans in total, and that means you can get one eSIM for several countries. It is perfect if you are planning to do a multi-country trip. And then they also have the Olafly plans, which give you internet in over 170 destinations. And then there is a new benefit of Olafly, which you can get on all of their eSIMs and plans, and that is the always on benefit. It is a benefit that gives you 1 gigabyte of mobile data per month. That means that, for example, if you have a layover in a country for which you didn't get an eSIM, you will have 1 gigabyte of mobile data that you can use there. If you want to try out the Olafly eSIM, make sure to do so. You can either scan the QR code here on this site, you can use my code Aventuralina, or you can click the link in the description below. All of these options will give you a discount on your eSIM purchase. Now let's give it a try and find someone to talk to. The country lives a lot from oil production, right? Is there oil production near Baku?
Əsasən neftin 90% Bakı və Bakı ətrafı zonadan çıxır. Mən özüm neft şirkətində işləyirəm və biz əsas neftimizi dənizdən alırıq. Amma bizim ölkənin başqa hissələrində də cənuba doğru və qərbə doğru getdikcə orada da neft yataqlarımız var, perspektiv neft yataqlarıdır və oradan da neft çıxarılır. Və gələcəkdə də fikirləşirik ki, daha da çox ehtiyatlarımız orada var. Biz oradan nefti oradan da çıxardacağıq.
You work in the oil industry.
Yes. Azerbaijan oil, state oil company.
Ah, okay,
Yes.
that's cool.
I'm department head.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. Is it a good industry to work in?
Yes.
An industry that pays well, I suppose?
Yes.
One last question. Do you know more or less what is the average salary for Azerbaijani people?
Average salary. Average salary very different and little different in the 200 USD dollar and more many salary.
So $200 is like the minimum?
Minimum.
And it can go up to...
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe very, I don't know, it's a very different, very difficult salary.
Depends where you work as well.
Yes. My salary very good.
Oil industry is very good, right? Okay.
First, oil industry very good and maybe customs very good and doctor very good.
Doctor, okay.
Yes, doctor very good. Maybe lover very good.
Depends what you do.
Yes.
All right. But with $200, people can live good here? Or is it difficult?
Yes, very difficult.
Difficult with $200. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you. How is tourism right now in Baku? Is it declining a bit? Because we feel like there are few people in the streets.
Yes, before pandemic it was very good. Yes, after pandemic in the Azerbaijan, the all border closed till now. Yes, it's unfortunately it's going about the defense from the abroad, not the pandemic, not about the coronavirus because we have the war little bit war with our neighbors. It's because our border is closed at the moment. But before pandemic it was very good. At the moment now it's not going.
The border to Georgia is closed, you said?
Yes, border with Georgia first. It's it's a lot of the tourists coming from the Georgia. Yes, they're coming to the Georgia after they're going to the Azerbaijan and after they're going to the another countries. It's like the good way for the tourists. But with Iran also border closed, with the Georgia, with the Russia, all border is closed at the moment.
And do you think people also fear the war in Iran since it is so close?
Yes, the war is also showing because if you want to come to Dubai, from Dubai to Azerbaijan, it's you need to use Iranian air border. But at the moment you cannot use.
So the Iran war has an impact on
Yes,
tourism as well.
Iran war also.
And people here live from tourism a lot, or is it like a small sector of the country?
No, it's the big sector in the
Yeah.
country. A lot of the hotels we have in Azerbaijan, in the Baku, in the Gabala city, a lot of the restaurants for the tourists we have. I think this is for Azerbaijan. It's a good part of this.
It's
Good,
important.
yes, support for the government.
Okay. Do you think tourists will come back when the war in Iran is finally over?
I think this is have a lot of the things to the back for the tourists because the first I say this border with the Georgia it's a closet
Yeah.
when they need to open because I have a lot of the friends from the Europe team coming to the Caucasus tourism. Yes,
Why is it closed in the border to Georgia?
this is reason showing the pandemic. But first I say it's not on the pandemic. This is have the dangers from the neighbors of our neighbors because the war with Armenia, war with in the Iran at the moment. This
But
is a lot
there's
of the
no
reason.
there's no war in Georgia, right?
No, but
So it's- Armenia, I understand that. Iran as well.
yeah,
But Georgia, I don't know why.
it's maybe the government showing the reason it's can be terrorism attacked. But,
okay.
Yes, but I don't know why it's causing now. It's
Okay.
showing the reason. The official reason. It's a pandemic.
Which is over since a long
Yes.
time.
So,
Okay.
So like
Okay.
in the North Korea and North or South Korea border closed for the world. In Azerbaijan also. It's the
Okay.
second country.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your
Marta.
answers. I appreciate
you.
it a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, that was interesting. I felt like he had something else to say when I asked him about the border of Georgia, why it was closed. He smiled and he gave me like the answer. It's because of the pandemic, which is luckily over since a few years. I felt like there was more to tell, but it's fine. Like whatever people don't want to talk about, it's completely understandable, of course. And I'm also not so sure how much people can actually freely say without getting into trouble. And obviously, we don't want to get anybody into trouble here. All right, you just have to believe me that I just had a very interesting conversation. Unfortunately, he didn't want to talk about it in front of the camera because his brother works with the government. And even though I asked him, what if we won't show your face in front of the camera, he was still like, no, because he was worried about his brother getting into problems. But he said some very interesting things. He said, for example, first of all, there's a lot of corruption in the country. He said that it's getting better, especially nowadays where the government, the people working for the government are getting a bit younger and like the generation is changing. So with that, a few things, the mindset changes obviously, and a few things in the government improve. It is not as bad as it used to be. He also said that life for Azerbaijani people here is very expensive, so that's quite difficult. He definitely very clearly confirmed the thoughts and expectations that I already had. It was nice, to be honest, to have someone who opened up and talked to us, because like most other people just, shut down or like changed the topic smoothly when I started to talk about politics and stuff. So yeah, it was nice to get like things that I have already read about doing my research, that he confirmed these things. As expected, it definitely wasn't easy to get people in front of the camera. I had one more conversation that was also very interesting, but it was with a government official. And apparently, as a government official, he would also need an approval before talking in front of a camera. He said that basically the complete opposite of what the guy before told us, who also wasn't able to show up in front of the camera. He said, this country is amazing, it's the best place to live in, life here is super cheap, but also you could definitely tell that he has quite some money. He was very well dressed. He said that he works a lot with Russia, so he travels a lot to Russia as well. So I suppose he probably works in the oil and gas industry. That is where the money lies. So apparently, depending on what you do, the money of the country reaches its people but well, the ones that actually work in the industry and like have some power in there. Anyway, it was our first day. As you can see, the sun is setting already. The day is over now. I've tried to talk to so many people. I won't give up. Tomorrow we are planning to leave Baku. We want to see where they actually produce the oil, but we will leave Baku and see what life is like outside of Azerbaijan's capital. So this is where all the oil and gas actually comes from, at least it is one part of it. There are way more fields here in Azerbaijan. It makes up over 50% of the income of the government and also over 90% of everything Azerbaijan exports. The oil and gas sector pays well. The average wage there is more than 3 times the national average, but it employs a small slice of the country. For most people, the salary is closer to that $640 a month, and the oil wealth is something you read about, not something you feel. And now we are here at a very strange situation. You've most likely heard about the war in Iran just across the border. And at some point, the oil prices went up to over $100 per barrel. You'd think that that means more money is pouring into Azerbaijan. However, the opposite is actually the case, as Azerbaijan is producing less and less oil every single year. And now in 2026, the economy of Azerbaijan has barely grown at all. We are more or less 70 kilometers in the south of Baku right now. It looks like we are in the middle of nowhere, but there are actually towns here. However, the landscape has changed completely. I wasn't expecting it to feel that rural here, this close to Baku still. Like the roads are way worse than in Baku. You don't have this fancy, super modern architecture anymore. It is extremely rural here. I honestly was expecting to see something like that, like super deep into the country, but not well, this close to the capital already. It doesn't feel like the oil money is reaching people here. But as you can see in the background, there are also machines that at least at some point were extracting oil. So also this area here is quite rich on oil reserves and gas probably as well, but these don't seem to be functioning anymore. We are in a national park, and again here you can see these machines that are collecting oil from the ground. They are still working, there are even workers over there. It is a bit of a strange location, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to find these machines here in a national park. Anyway, you see these machines in so many places around Azerbaijan. Along the coast there are a lot of places offshore as well. And as you know, I came here to answer the question, where do these 20 billion US dollars go? Unfortunately, I believe I cannot give you a clear answer. You see the wealth in Baku, you see all these machines that obviously are part of these $20 billion. Without these machines, all this money wouldn't be possible. But then also in this area here, we see that there's not that much for people to do, I guess. It's completely understandable that a lot of people live in Baku. There are way more opportunities for work in Baku, and there is way more money in Baku. I was so surprised to see this area here so empty, so calm and quiet, and also rather damaged, the roads and well, the housing rather basic. I don't think anybody here will actually be able to give you the answer of where the $20 billion go. I don't think anybody will be able to say these things out loud, at least. And obviously, the least I want to do is to put people in trouble. However, I met a lot of very kind people, a lot of fun people here. And even though a lot of people didn't want to talk in front of the camera, I still learned a lot from them. And I learned a lot about the oil production and the wealth of this country, and obviously its problems.